I think we take from this the fact that there was breakdown in communications. Correction officers, if you've got it, I know most of you have had a chance to read the report, but correction officers are in fact law enforcement officers. We've talked to a number of them. A number of the correction officers said, yeah, we do the best job we can, but they recognize that sometimes there are breakdown in communications. They even recognize the fact that sometimes there are certain correction officers that are not holding up their end of the deal. It's easy to money back quarterback, but there is no question in this particular case that Officer Floyd, who was an experienced correction officer, he followed the rules, he was strict. Therefore, if you see the report, you'll notice that one of the problems that existed is that some correction officers were more strict than others. Others were more lenient. There was a lack of uniformity, and we actually had more than one. We had several inmates tell us if they would just enforce the rules equally, it wouldn't be as bad. We may have somebody come in one shift and they're allowed to do X, and the next shift says you can't do it. So there was a great deal of hostility that developed between inmates, guards, correction officers. But the problem was the correction officers seem to feel they're in the middle. They're dealing with a difficult prison population, and they felt disrespected or lack of support by the administration. So they were dealing with both ends. Officer Floyd did recognize that there were individuals that he thought should be moved, and it came down 5 days after the incident in January 15th. And as far as we can determine, his requests were not acted upon. Had it been acted upon, or had he been moved from that building, and we use the word may. We can't make the definite conclusion, but his death may have been avoided.
Staffing absolutely has to be number one, and we're working on that. We got a new contract with the hopes of, excuse me, bringing a larger pool to the vacancies that we have. We have system-wide something like 270 vacancies. Why is that a big issue? One, it creates the need for overtime, which stresses out our correctional officers and creates an environment where that natural tension in a correctional facility between inmates and correctional officers is just heightened. We've had some success in getting more applicants to that pool, but we've also had people wash out. So that's got to be number one in improving the conditions and communications between correctional officers, midline supervisors, all the way up the chain of command to the central office. And those are things that happen with training, with changes in standard operating procedures, with leadership. I do have confidence in the commissioner that he can change things. I brought the whole team together about a month or so ago in Dover, and told them that what my expectations were. And basically that my expectations were that we are going to address the issues and problems that led to this incident, that we were going to change the way we operated, not just in James Vaughn, but across the system, and that I was going to work hard on my part, to get them the resources that they need to be successful, and to hold each of them accountable along the way. But that at the same time, that I would fulfill my responsibility. I would have their back. I would get them the resources. I would, we have issues between and among levels of command in the institution. So that requires changes and adjustment along the chain of command, and I'm confident that our team that we've put in place, we've made several changes there, can implement the recommendations made and make those changes.